This is my West Coast guitar processing chain inspired by legendary G-Funk producers like DJ Quik and Warren G. I'm going to show you exactly how I'm creating this guitar and what I'm processing it through to get that fat West Coast sound. Okay, so first of all, I want to point out to what you're looking at on the screen. And you're seeing the Neve 1073 preamp, and right under that you see the ADL Labs compressor, the ADL Labs 1000, right? And so I'm going to tell you how I got to know about these pieces of gear. First of all, the 1073 is top of the line industry standard preamp. You're going to see it in a lot of professional studios. It's probably one of the best preamps that you can get. So I kept hearing about it. I decided to grab it. Weeks after I finally decided to grab it, and it's been on my list for a minute, but I swear to you, weeks after, probably 1 or 2 weeks after I finally cop it, I see an interview with DJ Quik, interviewed by legendary drummer Trevor Lawrence, producer and drummer Trevor Lawrence, and it's a wonderful interview. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. DJ Quik, he's dropping gems on there about how producers were missing 2/3 of our sound ever since we started just producing in the box, right? And that hit me because I've been producing in the box for a long time. It was just a few years ago where I started to really start using outboard gear the way that I've been learning how to. I did use outboard gear back in the day, but it was mainly just for vocal processing, like the Avalon 737 or the Eureka, the PreSonus Eureka, mainly for vocals. A time or two I probably did run a bass or something through there, but not like I'm doing now. Anyway, so he talks about, in that interview, DJ Quik talks about how you could use the 1073 to get that color back in your sound. He talks about how, like, producing in the box, because of the way that the sounds are being processed in the box, they don't have that much color, body, or weight, or character to them. So they're he described it as being pastel colors. Crazy thing about it is, I was saying this before I heard the interview. I wasn't using the term color, though. I was just using the term weak or, strong or banging sounds, because that's the way that I could define it. But hearing him, he expanded my awareness on what it really is and why it sounds like that. I always noticed that there was a difference. Coming from the time of when I started producing in '99, using, physical keyboards and whatnot, and being in studios that we were still using boards and stuff, and the converters were different at the time. Anyway, he talks about how you could use the 1073 to color, right? Using the preamp to saturate the sound and drive it so you can create that harmonic distortion to make the sound bigger and fatter and more pleasing to the overall ears of the listener and yourself as a music producer. And it just makes the sound more attractive because it becomes multi-dimensional. It's not just a flat two-dimensional sound from in the box. So I was like, you know what? It's crazy. He said that. I just got the 1073. Let me start driving sounds through it. So I got this guitar sample loaded up. And you're hearing it hearing it going through the outboard gear right now, right? If I played it to you from just in the box, it would sound completely different. But right now, let's see. I'm going to take the effects off I have. First of all, I'm going to show you how I made the sound. So it was a one-shot sample, a one-shot guitar sample. And this is it by itself, right? It's still running through the outboard gear to make it sound more fatter, right? But this was before the processing that I did in the box. I used a CR8 sampler to turn it into a multi-sample from a one-shot. So if you don't have this plugin, you should grab it. It's a great tool to use to really spread your sample across the keys without you losing character or resolution. Like if I put it in just the regular Logic sampler, it's going to lose that quality. But when I run it through here, it's going to allow me to do the multi-samples and keep the resolution from the lowest to the highest end of the sound. Anyway, I could do a whole new tutorial on that separately if you want. Just let me know in the comments. And then from that, I run it through this Waves SSL channel strip. I did use a preset. Sometimes I use a preset and start there and dial it in, because sometimes I don't feel like doing stuff from scratch. Sometimes I want to use the presets that the professionals already put in here, so that way I could start where I want to start, right? I'll start closer to where I want to be. And if it's off, I'll dial it in to where I want it. But at least I get a step ahead. That's what presets are made for. Utilize them. Some people, oh, you're cheating. One, I don't care about none of that. It's not cheating, bro. It's actually saving time and using the tool the way it was built to use. If you weren't supposed to use presets, they wouldn't be in there. Okay, so I got that and I set it up on that preset, right? So it added a little more spunk, a little more spike, a little more bite to it, right? And then I ran it through the Waves guitar tool, right? And so, right, so there's a couple of compressors on there. There's a EQ basically, and it's basically giving me that kind of bite. Because when you run it through an amp, just like you're running a guitar through an electric guitar through an amp, before you run it through the amp, it's going to have just like a basic sound. You start running it through the amps, which in here you can go change the amps and stuff and, you know, do all kind of stuff, man. They got a tuner. They got presets in here too. You can go crazy in here. So anyway, now from there, I got it going through what you don't see is my Big 6 SSL outboard mixer. It's basically an interface that I'm using, but it's also an outboard analog mixer with the SSL sound, man. That's what's giving it that fatness. That's what's giving a lot of the apeshit plugins that fatness that you hear in the bass and the synth leads, especially on the WESTSIDE plugin or the G-Funk drums plugin. I did run all of that through here. As a matter of fact, most of the apeshit plugins for the last couple of years have been ran through this Big 6 channel. The analog channel strips, hitting the bus compressors and, you know, doing some EQ and stuff on the board. So after that, it's going through out the Big 6. So from the DAW and into the Big 6, out the Big 6, into the 1073, hitting those transformers. As you can see right here on the input line, I have this turned all the way up. I'm driving it all the way because that's how you saturate the preamp. And then on the outboard, on the output, you see right here, I got the output turned all the way up because I want to saturate that aspect of this channel strip as well. I want saturation all the way through. I'm not using any of the EQs on here. I'm just using the preamp. Okay, and then it's going through the ADL compressor, which is helping me control it. When you think of compressor, some people think of things too technically, like, what does a compressor do? It's basically controlling the dynamics of the sound. And it's actually, this particular compressor is a tube compressor, so it's giving it that fat warmth while also helping me control the dynamics of the sound and shape it and adding more analog color. So I'm getting three pieces of color from the SSL Big 6 out the SSL into these two pieces and back into the SSL channel strip. So, you know, this sound is hitting analog converters and transformers and all that circuitry in such a beautiful way. That's why it sounds so fat. And so this is going to be put into my new plugin called Funkzilla. Funkzilla is a plugin that's exactly how it sounds. It's going to have funky guitars, funky basses, some synths in there, a couple of effects. It's pretty funky, man. And there's two other plugins that I'm actually gonna be releasing around the same time. But anyway, that's it. I didn't want to talk your ear off. I just wanted to drop some gems. If you enjoy these type of videos, let me know in the comments. I'll do more of them, showing you some of the sound processing and the magic that goes behind creating the sounds for the apeshit plugins, and some more outboard gear that I'm using to do so. I just got a bunch of new synthesizers, you know, racks. I got a whole rack right here that's almost fully decked out. There's one more piece of gear that I'm going to get that's going to fit right in there, so I'm just waiting to get that last piece. But if you want to know more about the processing, let me know. There was a producer, once he seen that I was using the SE1, and because I did a video after Warren G did his video where I learned about this ADL compressor. I'm not sure if I told you that, but I learned about the ADL because Warren G talked about how he used it on his first album. And in that same video, he talked about using the SE1 synthesizer, which I had got a couple of weeks before that. That's how I knew I was in alignment again. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. I did a response video to it. And then Warren G hit me back like, yo, send me some apeshit plugins. And I learned when I went into his account, he had already copped some of the apeshit plugins. So I was like, that's crazy. He's using my stuff. So, that's dope when you find out legends are using your gear. When you reach out to them or you call them out, you shout them out, and they hit you back like, "Yo, them apeshit plugins is banging." So anyway, saying all that to say that the SE1 video he did, there was a producer in there that was like, "Yo, bro, it's nice to know that I can see the process behind your sound design now. I feel more comfortable using your tools." And I didn't think about doing that, man. I was like, man, you know what? I need to do more videos where I'm showing my community that this is what I'm doing to get the sounds to sound fat, so that not only what you're using in my plugins, but also so that you know what to do and what pieces of outboard gear that you can get to create your own chains and do what you want to do with your own sounds. It's all love, man, and I believe sharing is where it's really at. That's what we're here to do. We're here to serve one another, man, and in the producer community we should be really doing that. So anyway, I didn't want to talk your ear off. Thank you for tapping in, and if you watched it this far, thank you. Also, if you haven't yet, join my Ape Army. It's a private music producer community. I'm giving out 8 plugins to any producer who joins right now. Seven of them are exclusive to my Ape Army. They haven't been released to the public, and they may never. But the only one that has is G-Funk drums, and that's the 8th plugin. I gave it to my community before I even dropped it to the public. The same thing is going to happen with these Zilla plugins that I'm dropping. So anyway, leave some love in the comments if you like this video. I appreciate it. That helps it reach more producers who could use this type of information, and it shows that you're not gatekeeping either, and that you believe in spreading the good karma. Okay, because that's where it's really at, man. It's really about pouring our heart into our art and giving back to the craft. Okay, and on that note, I'm out. Peace, love, and peace.